Welcome back everyone, this is M60 I'm here in War Donner to announce the newest update. On August 3rd, 2016, update 1.61 Road to Glory was released and updated into the game. Road to Glory introduced 7 new vehicles in game, and a whole bunch of changes on the changelog, although a fraction of them are retaining to ground vehicles, which I only care about because I don't play Air Forces, unfortunately. Yep, so we'll start with introducing the new vehicles. Now you may have noticed I have the M60 tank, which used to be America's top tier 5 medium tank, right here in my preview, and that's because it got succeeded by a new M60, the M60 A1. It has the same battle rating as the M60, it has the same hull, so all hull armor, all that's the same, no need to worry about differences. The difference here is the turret. The turret is what I might call an improvement over the M60. The sides are more sloped and it's much more thicker, as you can see it from the side. From the front here is 230 millimeters, 152, 128, and then degrades all the way to 53. However, in the original M60, it goes from 100 to 50. So now it's 100. Well, and now it's 230. And if you try aiming for the sides here, it's gonna be much more slope and much more effective if you try aiming for the sides. So that's definitely an improvement on the side. The front, however, is only 127 millimeters thick, and I don't know why, considering that M60 was supposed to go against T54s or T62s, and 127 slope at this angle does not seem like a lot. Right, I'll get back to the armor a bit later. There's been an ongoing issue about the M60 armor ever since this update, and I'll just come back to it. Turret roof is much thinner than the M60. And the M60, the front here is 65, but the rear is the same. Right here is the A1 is the 48. So yeah, the commander's cupola is a lot better. However, in the commander's cupola, the M60, the front is only 35 millimeters, the side and roof is 25. Here, the front is 127 millimeters, which is pretty darn thick, and the side is 70 millimeters, and top is 101.6. Now, the front being 127 millimeters is definitely an improvement and increases chance of ricochet with the slope angle. However, your commander is probably still very vulnerable, so watch out for that. Aside from that, his 105 millimeter gun remains unchanged. He has the APDS, HESH, and heat rounds. However, I'm not so sure if they're that much different than the M60's APDS and all that. So it doesn't seem like armament firepower is not that much different. It's just the turret armor. I mean, I suppose it's better than nothing, right? Alright, let's move on. The next one is a premium tank, the M4A5. Now this is an interesting bugger. Yeah, you can tell from this weird green color that it's definitely not a tank made in the US. So what is this tank? It looks like a Sherman, but it's not a Sherman. Oh, what is it? Well, the M4A5 is actually quite a misnomer. It is in no way related to the Sherman series. This is actually based on the M3 chassis. M4A5 was just a designation the US gave it because they were testing and they needed a name, and M4A4 was probably taken. M4A6 also later. But if you look around, you can tell it has a lot of resemblance to an M3. It'll start from the bottom up. So you can tell from the chassis right here that it's from M3 because one, the bogies are Y-shaped. The return rollers are on the top. On an M4 Sherman, the return rollers were slightly reclining to the left or to the rear of the tank. It improves the stability of the tracks apparently. The side doors here is definitely a feature ported over from the M3 Lee. Same thing here. Front armor, definitely very slow. However, you probably can tell it's from M3 just from the machine gun turret here, right here. It's taken straight from the M3 Lee turret's commander's cupola, which is pretty interesting. I mean, giving it to the bow gunner, so he definitely has a lot more room to play with than an ordinary Sherman's on this side. And the turret is probably the new thing about it. Now, you might be wondering, like, why was this built in the first place? Well, when M3 Lee came out, its obvious complaint was that it has the 75 millimeters on the sponson. Well, Britain told Canada, or Canada decided to do it on its own. I forgot which way it was, but so Canada decided to produce a turret tank based off the M3 chassis just as an improvement. So they did a few tinkering and basically took the chassis and found a new hole top and developed a turret to mount a gun, and this was the result. As you can tell, it is quite crude in terms of construction. There's lots of rivets, especially on the gun. The turret front is riveted in place, and it's definitely quite an achievement for a time where the M4 Sherman was still in development. So the Canadians called it the Ram. However, when the M4 Sherman then took over, then the Ram production just stopped because America was able to churn out more M4 Sherman than the Canadians can ever possibly hope to build Rams. And then the Canadians then shifted over to building M4A1 Sherman. It's called the Grizzly. So let's look at armor. So armor thickness for battle range 3.7 is actually pretty decent. Like right here is 88.9 millimeters slope at 42 degree 52, and its effectiveness is at 124 to 160 millimeters. And Jesus, it's actually pretty good. I mean the transmission error is still a weak point, but and then here's a very interesting slope part, thanks to the bow gunner's turret. The slope here is like 104, 300 something. It's very interesting. One hand is very good. It's a very good sloped armor, but on the other hand, it seems to present a big shock trap right here. Other weaknesses will be the driver's hatch, which is just as thick as itself, and probably the bow gunners, which the unfortunate hap inside is probably gonna get killed as soon as it gets hit. Turret front seems to be slacking, although it seems to be supported by this armor back here. And turret right here, it's pretty good. Turret armor is decent in the front. The sides and back on the sides of all of them, it's easily gonna get hit. But although the side armor is definitely an improvement over the Sherman, which is only 38.1 millimeter. Here is 63.5. So that's good. You might be wondering, what's a Canadian Ram doing in the American tree line? Canadians actually sent America a Ram for evaluation purposes, and the U.S. gave it. That's how the U.S. gave it to M4A5. And there. However, I actually think Rams should be in the British tree line, considering that Canada was a Commonwealth country back in World War II. Probably is today still. I'm not so sure. So I'm actually surprised to see this in the American tree line. I mean, is it just because it's derived of an American body? Who knows? It's an interesting features. It's got very good armor and a 57 millimeter gun, which can do quite some damage even at 3.7. Okay. Moving along to Germany. Germany managed to get one premium tank from the update, and it is the Broombar. It's a heavy assault gun based on the Panzer IV chassis and is equipped with a 150mm howitzer, and that is big. It is comparable to the SC-152 series in the Soviets, or even against the KV-2 if you want to put it that way. So let's look at its armor, or its firepower. It starts with HE rounds that can penetrate 60mm. So if you manage to get this on to hit a tank roof, that tank's not gonna have a very good day. Just like the KV-2, I mean, it's nothing out of place. However, its anti-armor round is a heat round, which can penetrate 250mm straight on. Now, unlike the SC-152 and KV-2 series, those two Soviet heavy howitzer guns are only equipped with AP or APHE rounds. So, heat round is definitely an improvement over in the penetration category. Because unlike the AP, the heat round probably doesn't have as much chance to ricochet. So, I mean, the Broombar is definitely very good in the firepower category. However, how good is it in armor? It's decent at 5.0. It has 100mm in the front, sloped at 38 degrees. However, this only gives us a thickness of 127mm. The M4 Shermans for the 76mm can penetrate this front armor, so you better be careful in the playing field. I wouldn't recommend a front line assault with this thing. This is definitely a tank that you should play like a KV-2. Stand in the back and assault more stationary targets. But hey, 150mm gun, 100mm armor, battle rating 5.0 on the Panzer IV body. This thing is definitely an improvement and a welcome addition to the German arsenal. However, the thing is it's premium, so you do have to buy it with Golden Eagles. Moving along to the Soviet Union. The Soviet Unions are probably the biggest gainer of 1.61. Now, why is that? It's because they got themselves a new Tier 5 tank, just like America. Now, what is it? It's the T-62. The successor of the T-54-55 series. Now you may have remember a mention of T62 back in the previous update, but that's because this body was actually used for the IT1. But now we got the full tank itself. So what makes this different from the T54? Well, the whole body is the same. It's only 100mm slope at 60 degrees, so it's comparable to the T54. Side armor, rear armor, we don't really need to go there because if anyone can manage to hit those, they're dead anyways. But turret is definitely an improvement. First of all, the front is 214mm and slope, so this is very thick in comparison. Yeah, 200mm front thickness. Top here is only 16mm. However, the problem here is that you actually need to penetrate through the sloped angle. So this is probably a good weak point of a T62 on the top. Or if you want to be bold, try hitting the bottom. But that's probably worse considering it's sloped at 55 degrees. So turret armor is definitely an improvement right here. It doesn't get lower than 100mm on the side too. Although turret roof armor is 30mm, so this thing is still vulnerable in terms of top weakness, but you're gonna have to be an airplane to penetrate it anyway. So other than armor, what else was an improvement? Well, different tracks, engine, but the biggest one was the gun. This gun is no longer the 100mm D10. This is a 115mm smoothbore U5TS cannon. Now, I say smoothbore because this is actually the first smoothbore gun to be in the game. And smoothbore, in terms of history, was actually a big change in tank development for everyone, because smoothbore allows a more stabilized firing for heat rounds, and because heat round doesn't do very well when spinning, so smoothbore actually improves heat round. And also smoothbore in terms of against rifle rounds, which against the rifle cannons that you see on the American 105mm L7, and well, actually this is British. Well, against those, the smoothbore actually has a longer barrel life, because unlike the rifle, which has all these different grooves inside that has to be maintained, smoothbore has nothing inside, so you just have to replace the barrel, and the barrel can be easily made, just smooth in, smooth out. You have to do a lot more process if you want to make rifle links in the big cannon barrel. So what else is there? Well, let's check out its firepower. So they start with a 3BM4 APDS FS. This is also the first tank to use the armor-piercing discarding sable fin stabilized. So this thing is quite comparable to some ammo used today. However, just because it has APDS FS does not actually mean it's stronger than APDS. The FS fin stabilized is needed so the sable round can stabilize itself after it passes through the smoothbore, because smoothbore has no rifling, so it doesn't have a spin to it to stabilize itself on its way. APDS FS is not more powerful than APDS. It is just the stabilization of the saber round as it leaves the gun barrel. So there's this misconception on the word on the forum I saw earlier. So let's just get that out of the way. However, its upgrade, the 3BM3, which surprisingly is a lower number than M4, actually does a lot more damage up close. So but you need to unlock it. So once you get past the stock one, you get here, you're probably going to have a better time with it. Don't know how much improvement it is over the T54. I need to check that out. So 350mm at point blank range, 90 degrees. So that's pretty good. Heat rounds quite similar, 440mm. We all know heat rounds is probably the best penetrating gun ammunition type in game. So not much to worry about heat rounds. It will present problems for most tier 5 tanks given its high penetration, but I think, in my opinion, most tier 5 tanks are able to knock out other tier 5 tanks unless they bounce. So yeah, and HE, no need to worry about that. 31mm, just if you're anti-aircraft, just beware. So yeah, 115mm. But otherwise, other than that, it seems the T62 is not too much different than a T54 in terms of armor protection on the body, just a turret and a new gun. So you better watch out for that. I'd like to note that that the T54 distinguishing feature was that its 4 wheels, its transmission on its suspension, one wheel is right. It has a space in front of the other 4 wheels in the back. T62 is the 2 wheels in the back that has space compared to the 3. So that's interesting note. Let's go over the new air vehicles in the game. I don't know much about aviation, so don't play. Just bear with me here. So the American new plane will be the P-47 N-15 Thunderbolt. Otherwise, I think it just looks like a normal P-47. Probably different payload, different flying characteristics, but I can see it as an improvement because considering that the P-47 did see service past World War II to Korean War. So P-47 N-15, 8 machine guns, and cool. And then the Japanese got itself a new air vehicle too, the Ki 100. New fighter plane. Nothing much to speak about, in my opinion. Some people can probably go on and on about this, but that's all I can think of. It's a new fighter plane. New rank 2 battle rating 3. Yeah, that's all the new air vehicles. Now, early in the video, I did say there were 7 new vehicles, but actually I read the change a lot closer. It's actually 6 new vehicles and 2 vehicles with improved model and art. So yeah, that's about it. This is a pretty small vehicle update in my opinion, but I think it's okay. The ground forces definitely got a big buff, but actually now that we're talking about ground forces, I would like to get to the topic of the M60 Armor controversy that I was talking about earlier. So the deal with the M60 Armor is that the forum has been going on and off about how the armor has been nerfed since dev server. Why and how? Well, I can show you right here on just an M60. So originally the front armor on this fight used to be around 170mm thick, somewhere around here. However, now it's only 127mm thick. Even in front here, it's only 152mm thick. This is not very well protected against tier 5s. Now, in my opinion, I think it's just probably Gaijin trying to make the turret armor match up to the M48A3, considering that that the M60 did take the turret from the M48, very similar. So, which is the reason why they made the M60 to improve the turret armor. So, if this is the case, it's not very good, considering how in tier 5 most tanks will now be able to penetrate this huge square with in the turret front. That's bad, in my opinion. So what else is there? No, what's the issue? What's the other issue? It's the M60 A1. I'm gonna get over right here. So I mean the turret side armor is okay. However, it's right here. Now armor statistics for the M60 A1 that many people have sourced indicates that this place here should be 254mm thick, or I think effective thickness. I'm not so sure. However, just by looking here, looking straight at the gun barrel, we're gonna go from the top to bottom. 258 on the very bottom. However, once you get in the middle here, it drops all the way to 140mm thick, and then it starts right again 180, 90, 206, 230, and 265. However, the 260 still is not up to. It's only on the edges. At these edges, these rounds are more likely to bounce than actually penetrate. But that shows that there's a whole bunch of the flat areas right here, 17 degrees only, that the enemy can penetrate, especially at rank 5. This is bad. I mean, 100mm can go right through here, and considering that this thing was meant to fight against the T-54, which was 100mm, now imagine with the new 115mm in game, this is not a very good tank to fight against those, even though this tank was specifically made to fight those. So that's definitely an issue with the turret front. Another issue is the turret ring. People think the turret ring is too exposed. Now, granted, I've never been up close to an M60 A1, let alone see an M60 A1. I've saw an M60 A3, but that's not the same. And I did but they do make a bit of sense. I mean, the turret ring is definitely way too exposed. I mean, if you can look here, you can see right where the turret ring is, and how thick they are. They're very thin in comparison to even the turret or the front. So this would be a very big weak point against the turret front. So, I mean, I see some images. The M60 A1 turret should actually be a lot lower. I mean, some resources indicate that it should be literally right above the driver's hatch. I mean, it is literally, but a lot lower. That is so low that the driver can't even open his hatch if the gun is depressed. But it doesn't seem to be the case here. It's not really my problem to go on and on about this, and it should be the community. If the community does believe that these are absolutely wrong and makes a big fuss to Gaijin, I'm sure they will fix this. I mean, there's a lot of sources indicating that the M60A1 should have a thicker armor than it is in game. So if you're upset about this, go on the forums, make posts, do bug reports on it, and just make it a big attention to Gaijin that they simply cannot wait to fix it. No, So that's about it for update 1.61. 6 new vehicles, 2 new vehicle models, armor reductions, armor upgrades, and all these fancy new flight characteristics, which I have no idea whatsoever because I am not an Air Force guy. I'm sorry, Air Force people, I am a Ground Force guy. If you like this video, feel free to press a like. If you don't like this video, feel free to dislike and criticize the hell out of me. If you want to see more videos like this, feel free to subscribe. And as always, see you next time.